I'm Ralph R. Williams. I was born in Reedsville, North Carolina, March the 2nd, 1911, and I joined the National Guard in 1938. In 1940, 16th of September, the federal government ordered the National Guard to go to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for 1 year's service. So I went down and spent 1 year at Fort Jackson, and then I got out of the service for about 4 months. And the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and they said, come on back. So I went back to Fort Jackson, went back to
Fort Jackson?
Fort Bragg, South Carolina, Fort Bragg, and they sent me on back to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And I stayed there for 1 year. It wasn't quite a year. And I was a surplus in the country because I had a permanent rating as a supply sergeant at that time. So they shipped me up to the 105th Engineers to form a cadre to organize the 333rd Special Service Engineers. So there's 5 of us that went from Fort Jackson, South Carolina to Camp Claiborne, Louisiana, and organized the 333rd Special Service Engineers. And from there we collected the membership of the 333rd Special Service Engineers, and we got our group together. We moved to from Camp Claiborne, Louisiana to Toledo, Ohio, and trained for about 6 months there. And then we moved to Yuma, Arizona, and we spent approximately 6 months in Yuma, and we went from there to Pomona, California. And from there, we finished our training and went from there to New York, was the port of debarkation, where we went to the European Theater of Operations. And when we left New York, we had a storm on the sea, and I was standing out on the bow of the ship for about 2 hours out of every 8 all the way across. We had a lot of sick men on that ship. We went to England, Southampton, and England, and from there we went across England over near Salisbury and set up camp. And there we built air bases, field hospitals, and did more or less permanent construction work. And from there on through Germany, we finished our training there, and after E-Day, after the troops broke into France, pushed the enemy back far enough so we could get in to rebuild the dock at Cherbourg. And we built the dock at Cherbourg and carried, we spent 7 months in one place, just cleaning out the harbors, because when the enemies got pushed back, they threw everything they could get in the harbors, and they had a lot of cleaning out to be done so we could get ships in there. And from there on up through France and Germany, then we built and maintained railroad bridges. We built a railroad bridge across the Rhine River in Mainz, Germany, and had trains going across it in 10 days, which was an unusual feat for that time. And from there on up through Germany until the war was over, we built and maintained railroad bridges, and did whatever was necessary to keep supplies to our troops.
When you were in Germany there, how long did you stay there before you went on back to England? I assume you went to England and then back to the United States?
No, we left Germany and came back to the United States.
Left Germany.
Yeah. As after the war was over.
Right.
And we spent some time at this called Army of Occupation, where we were checking supplies and doing whatever needed to be done to try to clean up the country to some extent.
What, Mr. Williams, do you think are some of the main things that you learned while you were in the Army? What has left a lasting impression with you? Now, one of the things that you told me earlier was that your engineering group was a unique group because you had people who were highly trained. Example, electrical engineers,
Right.
mechanical engineers, structural engineers, all kinds of engineers. What are some of the things that you feel that you learned in being with a specialized group, and how have those things affected you in your lifetime?
Well, I think they helped me along through life to find out what would work and what wouldn't work.
So you've had life lessons that you learned in the United States Army that you carried with you from now on.
Right. I think it helped. You got to see a lot of places that you'd never seen before and places that you was not familiar with. There was a lot to learn.
Do you have any other comments that you remember or would like to make before we conclude this video here?
I don't know, after 1945, this is 2007, there's a lot of time elapsed in that. There's so many things that I've forgotten along the way. But while we was there, we went to one of the concentration camps in Germany about 3 days after the army had pushed the enemy out of back far enough so people could go in and see. And we had men and women that the Germans had piled up like cordwood. And they had a gas furnace there that burned up the bodies. And consequently it was an awful sight. Those are things that we didn't talk about much since we've been out. But it goes to show you how one person would treat another if they get an opportunity.
We're fortunate people to live in these United States.
That's right.
And people like you are the ones that allow us to be able to do that now. And I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.